Hello students and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm broadcasting to you live from beautiful Budapest here in Hungary where summer is upon us. The weather's starting to get warm. I hope everybody had a great weekend and let's kick off today's class with task one writing. This is a members chat class. Hi, Bagzad. There's one of our members joining in. And there will be an everyone chat class afterwards in 90 minutes. Hi, Preeti. I hope everybody's doing great. Okay, so students, as you can see, a little bit of a new image there for us. That is our IELTS hero cracking the IELTS exam. That welcomes a lot of new merchandise to our YouTube channel. When you go to our YouTube channel, you can see this merchandise, t-shirts, coffee mugs. I'm wearing one of these shirts right now. It's kind of hard to see in these live sessions, but check it out anyway. Materials come from our websites, aehelp.com for academic IELTS. So if you're studying for the academic test, check us out there for lots of videos. Yeah, thanks, Kesey. That's kind of what I'm promoting here, these new t-shirts. Oh, and by the way, students, half of the profits that we get from our merchandise sales, so from t-shirts, coffee mugs, and so on, half of it we will be donating to students who are coming from less fortunate parts of the world and need to do the IELTS exam. So we will set up a new type of charity to help IELTS students around the world from half of the proceeds that come in from our merchandise sales. For general IELTS students, check us out at gieltshelp.com. On both of those websites, we have over 100 hours of videos. We have 6 original practice exams and a fully interactive course to help you get those high scores. Yeah, thank you, Rahul. Thanks, students, members, for noticing the latest and greatest in our graphics and merchandise. So you can see it here. It's our IELTS hero cracking the IELTS sign. You can see the head is the same as what you have beside your names, members. All right, so yeah, again, check out that merchandise, t-shirts, mugs, lots more on the channel. For our websites, so for the academic IELTS, go to this website here, and you can use the code LIVE20 for a 20% discount. This one here with the green background is the general version of the test, and again, when you purchase on those websites, you can use LIVE20 and get a 20% discount from our courses. If you have questions, send me an email, adrian@aehelp.com. Yeah. All right. So, students, lots to do this week. Today we're starting with task 1 in just a moment. Then 90 minutes from now, we will have speaking part 2 where everybody can chat. Then we will have classes tomorrow, and we have classes, 6 of them this week, all the way to Saturday, the 25th, okay? So 6 days of classes. There will be 11 classes altogether, live classes, back to back, so definitely stay tuned. All right, members, here is our task 1 question for today. Bagzad, I got this one from you. I know you sent this as a practice essay, but it was a good question, so I thought I'd use it today. Here we go. Check it out. IELTS Task 1 Writing. This is for the academic version of the test. You should spend about 20 minutes on this task. The diagrams below show the changes that have taken place at Queen Mary Hospital since its construction in 1960. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. Write at least 150 words. Hi, Alexander. Hi, Paula. Good to see many new students coming in. Thanks, Paula. Again, you can buy these t-shirts off of our channel, so check that out. All right, let's have a look at the picture. Here it is. So here is 1960. Here's 1980. It's a diagram type question. And then here is year 2000. So this is the diagram that we are dealing with today. Hi, Huang. Good to see you in class. All right. So, students, what do we do first? Members, what's our step number 1 here with this diagram? This class, members, I want to guide you more than instruct you. I know a lot of you have some good ideas now on how to get the high band scores for this task. So I'm going to guide you more than instruct you. Hi, Caddy. I got your email. Huang, first sentence, what do we mean by that? Preeti says, paraphrase the question with some details. Yeah, absolutely. So we write the overview, and the overview, we begin with a paraphrase and giving some more details. So overview, of course, in the real test, you don't need to write overview. Let me move this next page. Here we go. Okay, so the overview, it's 2 parts. Paraphrase the question with detail or details, and give the most obvious main feature. That's your second sentence, right? Okay, so paraphrase this question and give it some more detail. Again, the diagrams below show the changes that have taken place at Queen Mary Hospital since its construction in 1960. Okay, I'll show you the diagram again. So here is 1960, 1980, and 2000. So first step, just paraphrase the question. Okay, paraphrase the question. Think quantitative, think numbers when you're doing this paraphrasing with more details. Okay. So I will start the paraphrase myself also while you're working. Hopefully we end up with something similar. All right, so there is my paraphrase of the question with some more details, okay? So notice that here it says the diagrams. Immediately think about how many diagrams, okay? We saw 3 diagrams. So add that in to your paraphrase, these 3. Instead of diagrams, especially when you're looking at buildings or land construction, they're often called blueprints. It's an even more accurate word than diagram. So these 3 blueprints, that's a really nice detailed paraphrase of the diagrams. So these 3 blueprints depict the changes that have taken place at Queen Mary's Hospital and its surrounding area. Why do I say that? Because here in the diagrams, you can see that here you have the hospital. Here's the hospital. Then here you have a shopping center, farmland, car park. So this is the surrounding area of the hospital. Okay, so you want to be very careful with describing information accurately. Over a 4-decade period, right? So we have 1960, 1980, and 2000. That's 40 years, which is a 4-decade period. 40 years, 4 decades, 4 times 10 years. Now, you can say that differently. So in 20-year intervals, right? 1960, 1980, 2000. There's 20 years, 20 years. So always use that critical thinking. Specifically in 1980 and 2000, those are the headings, right? All right, so I see we have some of these first sentences coming up by our students. Let's take a look at them. So Begzod says, these 3 blueprints depict the alterations at Queen Mary Hospital in 3 periods, 1960, 1980, and 2000. Begzod, very good, yeah. So that is very close to what I wrote, and it's a very good start. Alexander, the 3 images depict the improvements at Queen Mary Hospital since it has been constructed during 4 decades, from 1960 to 2000. Alexander, that's very good. I like how you use the word images. Works well. Blueprints is more accurate for this type of information, but images is okay. You don't need the word taken, Alexander. That's awkward there. Just improvements is fine, okay? Otherwise, it's quite good. Hi, Harminder. Harminder says, these 3 diagrams reveal. Harminder, remember that when you have plural, the S goes on the noun and no S on the verb. Okay, Harminder, remember, if you have plural and S is on the noun, so diagrams, then there's no S on the verb. So diagrams reveal. When it's singular, it's the opposite. When there's no S, no plural on the noun, then the S goes on the verb. So diagram reveals, diagrams reveal. Okay, keep that in mind, Harminder. Don't make that mistake. Don't lose those easy points. So Harminder says, these 3 diagrams reveal the changes that have taken place at Queen Mary's Hospital in 1960, 1980, and 2000. Careful, Harminder, with the from to. That's more of a line graph type of description. Okay. Roshni says the 3 blueprints illustrate the renovations that have taken place around Queen Mary's Hospital and its areas. Around Queen Mary's Hospital is better, from 1960. Roshni, that's good. Renovation, a little bit tricky. Renovation is more accurate, Roshni, when you're talking about one building. Here we're talking about multiple buildings. Construction is a better word, construction, okay? Paula says the 3 diagrams depict how Queen Mary Hospital has evolved since it was founded in 1960 in 2 time periods, 1980 and 2000. Okay, Paula, I really like how you start your overview. The 3 diagrams depict Queen Mary's evolution since it was founded in 1960. I wouldn't use present perfect in this case, okay, Paula? And I often suggest, Paula, to avoid question markers in statements like how, okay? And then with the second half of it, Paula, you have to be a little bit more careful. It's quite awkward, okay? So go back, Paula, and check my correction with that, okay? Later on. So Kesey says, these 3 blueprints depict the changes in Queen Mary's Hospital over 4 decades in the period 1960, 1980, and 2000. Okay? That's better. All right, but students, good start, okay, for the most part. And I really like how all of you have very original approach, okay? You each have your own style. That's great. Okay. Now we do need one more sentence. So we need the most obvious feature. What's the most obvious? So again, you don't really need to see the words because for the most obvious feature, that first glance, you don't need to be doing a lot of reading. You should be able to describe it just by almost looking at the pictures. So what do we see very clearly? I mean, if you want to, shopping center, farmland, car park, hospital, cancer center, hospital, pharmacy, nursing school. So what do we really notice? What's the main observable change over this 40-year period? Preeti, the road, that's just to orient yourself, okay? So the road here, that's just kind of to give you an idea of where these buildings are. It's not really important in your description, okay? More blocks, sure. Okay, notice that you have a hospital here, you have the cancer center here, here you have the hospital, and you have a cancer center here, nursing school, here you have farmland. So what is really happening in this area in this 40-year period? Yeah, so Begzod says, Begzod's got a good observation. He says, well, notice that over these 40 years, eventually, this whole area becomes a part of the hospital, right? So this entire block is the hospital, as where in 1960, it's really just this little block here that's the hospital, right? Okay, so Paula says, while the other buildings have changed, let me take a look at what you said before. So Paula says the hospital remains the same while all of the buildings around the hospital change. Yeah, or the area around the hospital changes. That's a good observation. I mean, here you do see that the hospital building is extended to include the pharmacy. So the hospital building changes, but the area of the hospital stays the same. That's a good observation for a first glance, Paula, as well. Okay. Definitely the most observable change is the surrounding area. So this part of each diagram changes significantly. So that's what you should be noticing here, is that this area here kind of looks like a boot or a shoe. This area here changes in each of these time periods, okay? That's the most observable feature. So that's what you should be reporting, okay? So let's write a sentence about that, all right? And I would say that that's about 3/4 of the area, right? So this space takes up about 3/4 of this blueprint. Keep that in mind. Okay, go ahead and write your sentence, students. So describe that at first glance, you notice that the area surrounding the hospital changes in each of these time periods. Okay, I'll do the same. So I think that's arguably the most observable. All right. And again, don't overcomplicate. You do have to move fairly quickly. Okay. All right. So this is my overview That's all you need. I'll enlarge it so it's more legible. It's easier to read while we wait for what you have written. So these three blueprints depict the changes that have taken place at Queen Mary's Hospital and its surrounding area over a 4-decade period, specifically 1980 and 2000. Clearly, 3/4 of the area which surrounds the hospital undergoes significant changes in the time periods given. Okay, that would be your Band 9 overview. As long as you have clear grammar and spelling, that is the information that you need to include. Okay, Paula says, it is clear that the surrounding area has significantly changed over the 3-year periods. Okay, Paula, there's a missing word there. It's not 3-year. You might get away with that, Paula. Kesey says, at first glance, 3/4 of the area which surrounds the hospital changed in the different times. 3/4, Kesey, 3/4 or 3/4, 3/4. Alexander, obviously the area changes substantially every period of time given, with the exception of the hospital. Alexander, it's more natural to say with the exception of the hospital rather than saying omitting the hospital. Omitting the hospital, understandable, but a bit awkward. Okay? All right, so those are some good second sentences for this. Good job so far. I'm going to give you one more minute for maybe a couple more members to add the sentence. Huang, I'll read your previous one there. I missed it, so I'll read your first sentence, Huang, while we wait a little bit. So Huang says, there are 3 plans which represent the difference between Queen Mary's Hospital in the past 4 decades, especially the years 1960, 1980, and 2000. Huang, notice the corrections in the first half of that especially. Okay. All right. Preeti says, at first glance, it is notable that almost 75% of the area surrounding the hospital has changed throughout the given period. Yeah, Preeti, very good. So good job, Preeti. Instead of saying 3/4, you said 75% of the area. That's a really nice paraphrase of what I expressed. Absolutely. Bagzod says, at first glance, it becomes clear that in each 20-year interval, there are changes to 3/4 of the area surrounding the hospital. Bagzod, a little bit of adjustment there makes that sound a lot better. Rahul, at first glance, it is clear that the area surrounding the hospital has changed significantly at different times. Rahul, plural, different times. All right, students, good job. Let's keep going. Now we need to indicate our points of comparison. So here, what should we compare in 1960 to 1980? It makes sense to go interval by interval. So 1960 to 1980, make this comparison here. And then we'll compare 1980 to 2000 afterwards. So what do we need to explain here? What should we discuss? What should be our number one? What do you think makes logically sense to discuss first in your body paragraph? Hi, Golzoda. Welcome to the class. You're a bit late, but better late than never. We're just starting the analysis of this blueprint or of these blueprints. So what do we need to compare? And always do this, students. Always take 1 minute to indicate your points of comparison before you begin writing. It's going to be much, much smoother. Okay? Yeah, so Paula says the addition of the pharmacy is probably a good way to start. Marwa says the shopping center is transformed into two medical facilities. Marwa, you're solemn. Welcome into the class. Yeah, definitely this would be my number one. So this change here, that would be my number one. Absolutely. Because the primary focus is on the hospital, right? So it makes sense to have that as number one instead of this. Okay. And then logically, you probably are realizing that, okay, that makes sense to be number two, right? I would not suggest talking about the nursing school and the farmland first because it's secondary to the hospital. The hospital is the primary. So hospital gets the addition of a pharmacy and a cancer center. Okay, so write sentences for the analysis now for the body that describe this point number one, the shopping center, okay, and the pharmacy. Here, think about words like transform, addition of, construction of. Okay, those are vocabulary that will help you. Another one is expansion, expansion of the hospital, extension of the hospital. Pay attention to directions. So this can be described as left of, or it can also be described as the west wing or west of, right? It's in the direction of west, so you can always keep that compass in mind with the west, east, south, north, right? Okay, so the main road just gives you your position, right? That's the only purpose that it serves. So go ahead and write number one for this. Okay. Yeah, Roshni, I'm very happy that so far it looks like all of the members have realized that number one should be this piece of information and not this piece of information. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, very nice, Huang. So Huang's using a good piece of vocabulary there, the reconstructed. So remember, Huang, name the year. So in 1980, the shopping center had been reconstructed as the cancer center and as the pharmacy, which is attached to the hospital. Sure, so Huang, that's good. Just remember to name the year, right? This is very important frame of reference when you're writing, okay? Yersalam, the west wing of the hospital isn't transformed, it's extended, okay? So the way I would write that, Yersalam, is the west wing of the hospital is extended in was extended in 1980 and purposed as the pharmacy. In addition, to the left of the hospital, a cancer center had been added. Okay, so that's how I would write that, Yersalam. Okay, a little bit clearer. Marwa says in 1980, the shopping center at the east wing of the blueprint, it would be the west wing. Careful with your directions, Marwa. At the west wing of the blueprint has been transformed into two new medical facilities, the cancer center and pharmacy. Good use of the comma after facilities, Marwa. That's very nice, okay? Alexander says, clearly the shopping center has been divided into two health facilities, comma, the pharmacy and cancer center. Yeah, and I mean, it is two buildings here. So this is a building, this is a building. Careful with that, students. So the IELTS is very specific. This is one building here. These are two buildings here. So you have to be careful to describe that accurately. It does matter. If it didn't matter, then the examiners would have created just one building here. Okay? So be specific in accurately describing the way that the information is featured. That's very important. Okay, I'm going to write and describe this myself, and then you can see how to go about that. So again, once you have the overview, then comes the analysis or analyses, plural. Okay, and then you can say, firstly, in 1980, the shopping center had been replaced by the extension of the hospital and a new building. The extended west wing was purposed as a pharmacy, while the new building had been designated as the cancer center. Okay. And again, if you can't do it in one sentence, do it in two sentences. So here is the beginning. Don't be shy, students, to spend a few extra words on these first points, because they are the most significant points usually in the diagrams and charts. So this is not where you should be saving words and time. This is where you should be investing time and words to describe it clearly, because it's the most significant points of the task one. Okay? I hope that makes sense. So firstly, in 1980, the shopping center had been replaced by the extension of the hospital and a new building. The extended west wing was purposed as a pharmacy, while the new building had been designated as the cancer center. That makes it very, very clear for the reader what's going on in this diagram. Okay? And then, of course, we have point number 2, which is the farmland and nursing school. Now remember, this is not a building, this is just farmland. This here is the nursing school. Car park stays the same. Because there is a lot of information in these 3 diagrams, I will probably not mention any information on the car park unless I want to get a band 9 and I know that I can write very quickly. Okay, and very accurately. Otherwise, I would just leave the car park in this or these 2 time periods out of the picture. Okay, all right. So students, go ahead and write that second sentence, which is the nursing school and farmland change from 1960 to 1980. Meanwhile, I'll take a look at a couple more suggestions for the previous piece of information. So Preeti says in 1980, the shopping center is replaced by 2 different medical buildings. In the left side of the hospital, a pharmacy had been built, and beside it, a new cancer center. Preeti, careful with, I know it's tricky, especially in another language, but be careful with the way you describe objects. Okay. Paula says, according to the blueprints, the existing shopping center in 1960 was converted into 2 new buildings. One is the pharmacy, which is an extension of the hospital, and the other is the cancer center. Paula, that's very good. I like how you divided that into 2 sentences. Simplify the last part of the second sentence. It does not need to be that complicated, okay? Keep it simple. All right, let's see. Roshni says, notably in 1980, the cancer center and pharmacy occupied the space of the shopping center, which is reduced the space of shopping center in the... Okay, Roshni, you have a really good start. Notably in 1980, the cancer center and pharmacy occupies the space of the shopping center. Stop there. It's clear until that point. After that, it becomes awkward. So if you have some good writing, make sure not to ruin it with some awkward phrasing afterwards. Careful with that as well. That's why it's important to review your writing. So review your writing often. Okay. All right. So I will add this little piece of information with the Farmland and Nursing School, our second point. Farmland Nursing School. And maybe I'll throw in the car park just so you see what a band 9 construction or sentence construction looks like. Okay. Furthermore, the land which had been used for farming in 1960 was repurposed and a new nursing school had been constructed. Meanwhile, the car park remained the same. Okay. So that's one way to do it. Furthermore, always use these connective words, furthermore, because it's quite significant. So I would use furthermore instead of in addition when the change is more significant. Furthermore is stronger than in addition. So in addition means number one is good, number two is equally. Furthermore means number one is good, number two is great. So there's even more going on. Okay, keep that in mind. All right. So furthermore, the land which had been used for farming in 1960. So some paraphrasing here with an adjective clause. Lots of passive sentences because we don't know who's building or constructing these buildings. So the land which had been used for farming in 1960 was repurposed and a new nursing school had been constructed in its place. I should finish that. Meanwhile, the car park remained the same. Okay, just to really do a well-rounded description there. Kesey says the new building constructed on the farmland, in 1980 beside the car park is the nursing school. Kesey, don't forget to name what it is. Okay, you have the actual subjective noun nursing school completely missing from your sentence, so careful about that. Okay. Again, review to make sure that you're not missing information like that. And if it is Kesey, like you're writing in the exam, then you would write it like this, okay? So just do this kind of a V insertion into where you feel the word is missing, okay? Make sure to do that, especially if you have a little bit of time to review, okay? All right, Begzod says, additionally, the farmland had also been replaced by a nursing school following the first 2 decades. Following the first 2 decades, Begzod. During the 2 decades, I don't know, maybe, but it might have happened right in 1980, so definitely following the 2 decades. However, there had not been any changes in the other half of the area. Be more specific, Begzod, in the car park, okay? Other areas, unclear. All right, Marwa, sir, which one is more accurate? Has transformed or had been replaced? Both are okay, Marwa. Had been, but remember to have the same grammar. So had been transformed or had been replaced. Both are okay. Both are okay, Marwa. They're very synonymous in this situation. All right. Yeah, students, if you have questions, some part of what I'm writing is unclear, just stop and ask, okay? It's very important that you have clarities, and don't be shy. Some of you are a little bit higher level, some of you are a little bit lower level. It doesn't matter, okay? So just ask, okay? Rahul says, upon closer look, it is evident that in 1980, The pharmacy and cancer center were built, replacing the shopping center, period. Furthermore, the farmland was also repurposed and a nursing school was built in its place. Rahul, few real-time corrections there. Pay attention to it, but otherwise you're doing a good job. Okay. All right. So far so good. Now we need a little bit more. And here we need to compare the... Let me just try to get as much of that in there as possible. We need to compare this here, 1980 to 2000. So what is the most significant change between 1980 and 2000? What should we discuss first? So what do you think is our point number 3 for discussion? By the way, I'll do a little plug. There's my new coffee mug. And it's a little bit foggy from this distance, but it's the same IELTS Hero on a coffee mug. You can get that merchandise on our YouTube channel as well. Yeah, so Paula says the extension of the cancer center. Yeah, Marwa says the extension of the cancer center. So here's the cancer center, right? And we can see that here, the cancer center extends all the way down, replacing the nursing school. Okay, so you're noticing that this is your point number 3 here. Okay, now remember, students, one little extra step, being one little extra step more clever, can really help you to pick up those extra half band, full band scores. So when you're looking at this change here in the cancer center and the nursing school, and you see the cancer center down here, what can you say about it? What can you say about this change in the cancer center? So what can you actually say about it? Let's see if you're thinking kind of similarly to me. What can you say about it? So obviously there's a huge change here, and the cancer center replaces the nursing school. Beyond, there we go. Yeah, Begzod, very good. So exactly what I was thinking. If you really pay attention, it's about triple the size, right? So here you have this cancer center, and then here you have this cancer center here. So it's roughly tripled in size, right? Very good. Yeah, it's tripled in size. Rahul, you can get the mug from our YouTube channel. You can order it. Okay, so we got lots of merchandise now on our YouTube channel and out of Teespring, so you can order it. It's cool. It's some fun stuff, guys. So just throwing it in there. Yeah, so it's tripled in size. What happens to the nursing school? It's reduced to half the size, taking up half of the car park, making the car park half the size as well, right? So that's our point number 4. Okay. So point number 4 there. So point number 3 is the change in the cancer center becoming 3 times larger. And then point number 4 is the change in the car park, which becomes half the size because half of the car park is replaced by a much smaller nursing school. So write point number 3 and point number 4. I will do the same. Okay. So I will do the same. So write point number 3 and point number 4 about the cancer center and about the car park. The more specific you are by saying 3 times larger, also indicating location to the south, okay, or becoming even bigger than the hospital, that's all great as long as you follow some good grammar rules and use some good vocabulary. Okay, Rahul, L-shaped is very good. Okay, L-shaped description. So Rahul, the L-shaped cancer center is 3 times the size it was before. Instead of saying giant, it's a bit awkward, say 3 times the size it was before. Okay, all right, let's write these Sentences. Now, again, what's happening when you have the building increasing in size like that, it's an upgrade, right? The cancer center is being upgraded, all right? So another good vocabulary, all right? All right, so more than one way to skin the cat. That means there's lots of different ways you can write this. Here's what I did. Later, in 2000, the cancer center triples in size and overtakes the area which had been occupied by the nursing school 20 years earlier. As a result, the car park is divided in half and the nursing school is built on 50% of this space. Okay? So that's what I would do to clearly describe what is going on between 1980 and 2000. Begzod goes about it a little bit differently. Begzod says in 2000, the surrounding area of Queen Mary Hospital had experienced significant changes. The size of the cancer center had been upgraded and became 3 times larger than before. Begzod, brilliant. That's great. Okay, now you just need to explain what happens with the nursing school. Marwa says in 2000, the cancer center had been extended to become 3 times larger than in 1980. Just careful with your numbers there, Marwa. Conversely, the car park had been reduced to half of its original size in order to set up the new nursing school, Okay, Marwa, that's good, but careful because it's unclear from what you had written that the nursing school is moved because the cancer center replaces the previous nursing school. So you might need to figure out a clever way to clarify that for your reader. Okay. Begzod says, as a result of this expansion, both the car park and nursing school are halved. Very good, Begzod. And notice, students, that Begzod is using the word half as a verb, halved. And you can do that, okay? In English, there is a verb form of the word half, which is halved, using the LV. So yes, that is a verb, Begzod, and you have used it very well. Yeah, good job. All right. Your Salam says the cancer center has been, it has to be passive, your Salam, because we don't know the company that's doing the construction or using it. So a lot of passive voice here. The cancer center has been enlarged to 3 times greater than before, stretched to the area which was occupied by the nursing school, leaving the car park and nursing school half the size than they were before. So tricky, your Salam, you're trying to really combine all that information into one sentence. It's possible, but very difficult to do, even for a native speaker of English. So careful with that. It's good to practice at home, but don't experiment in the official IELTS, okay? All right. Kisi says, in 2000, the cancer center expanded 3 times while the size of the nursing school halved, which made the car park only 50% compared to the year 1980. Kesey, that works. Okay, that's quite clear. Just a couple of slight mistakes there, but otherwise quite good. All right. So again, here's mine. Later, let me darken this up a little bit. So later in 2000, the cancer center triples in size and overtakes the area which had been occupied by the nursing school 20 years earlier. As a result, the car park is divided in half and the nursing school is built on 50% of this space. Okay. Rahul, again, I really like how you're using the L-shaped cancer center. It's very clear description. Okay, so we have our analysis. We're doing really well. And now we can write a summary for this, absolutely. So summary should be just one sentence providing a key piece of information that the reader can learn from these diagrams. Okay, so, and it should not be the overview, obviously. So what is one kind of key piece of information that we can summarize from looking at these three diagrams? So what is something that really kind of pops out at us in summary? What do you think? While you're thinking about that, I'll read Paula's previous comment. So Paula says the most noticeable change in 2000 is that the cancer center increased 3 times in its size in comparison with 1980, occupying even the area of the old nursing school. Very good, Paula. The new nursing school was constructed in 2000, is half the size and occupies half of the car park. Yeah, the old one you don't need, Paula, because it's understood. Okay. Begzod says that most interestingly, the surrounding areas become purposed for medical reasons. Yeah, that's okay. So here you have a shopping center, farmland. Here it becomes medical purpose. So you have nursing school, you have the cancer center. Here, even more of it becomes medical purpose. So the car park becomes half. So it's not bad, Begzod. I would say that there's something even more detailed that you can summarize here. Yeah, so Marwa, you're on the same track as Begzod. So you're saying that rather than having recreational facilities like a shopping center or other business, because it's not recreation farmland, Marwa, so careful with that. Preeti says that the cancer center becomes most dominant. Yeah, absolutely. So that's what I would focus on as well, Preeti, is that the cancer center clearly becomes a very important feature of St. Mary's Hospital. So that's what I would write for my summary. Begzod, Marwa, I think your ideas are okay. I think Preeti is a little bit better in this case. Let me show you what I would write. So in summary, when carefully observing the changes in 1980 and 2000, it is evident that the cancer center becomes primary importance for services provided by Queen Mary's Hospital. Okay, so that I think would be the better summary. Okay, so in summary, when carefully observing the changes in 1980 and 2000, it is evident that the cancer center becomes primary importance for the services provided by Queen Mary's Hospital. Okay, that's very arguable in this case. Okay, let's read the full task 1 response. This should be a band 9. Follow with me, members. So these 3 blueprints, members, always review and double check your work at home, okay? It's really important to catch your own mistakes and to learn from them. So here we go. These 3 blueprints depict the changes that have taken place at Queen Mary's Hospital and its surrounding area over a 4-decade period, specifically in 1980 and 2000. Clearly, 3/4 of the area which surrounds the hospital undergoes significant changes in the time periods given. Firstly, in 1980, the shopping center had been replaced by the extension of the hospital and a new building. The extended west wing was purposed as a pharmacy, while the new building had been designated as the cancer center. Furthermore, the land which had been used for farming in 1960 was repurposed and a new nursing school had been constructed in its place. Meanwhile, the car park remained the same. Later, in 2000, the cancer center triples in size and overtakes the area which had been occupied by the nursing school 20 years earlier. As a result, the car park should be a correction there. Okay, careful with your tenses. Was divided in half, and the nursing school was built on 50% of this space. Don't make tense mistakes. Okay. In summary, when carefully observing the changes in 1980 and 2000, it is evident that the cancer center becomes primary importance for the services provided by Queen Mary's Hospital. Okay, that is your Band 9 essay, members. Nevertheless, you have done a great job. Okay, your thinking is becoming very, very good with these diagrams. I can tell that by the way you're looking at the information. Just make sure to practice and get feedback on your writing so that you're not making lots of grammar mistakes. Okay, students, that's all the time I have for this class. Coming up in 30 minutes, speaking part 2, cue card. We will practice together. Of course, we have an original cue card for you. Again, check out our new merchandise, the IELTS Hero, cracking the IELTS words, signifying success on the exam. Wear it proud. You can get coffee mugs and other stickers and such goodies as well. Just check it out on our YouTube channel. And remember, go to our websites and register for our premium course, aehelp.com for academic and gieltshelp.com for general. Yes, Begzod, you can say that. So you can say that now it provides more medical services to people than 4 decades earlier. Yeah, absolutely, Begzod. All right, students, see you in half an hour for some speaking part 2. Much love to all of you. Bye momentarily.